I like the idea of letting my brain melt away to something I can't actually solve because I want to try and solve it. But then actually getting so tired that I couldn't solve it that I like want to solve it again the next day. It is something you can just fall down a whole rabbit hole of, finding other people and what their opinions of it is, going deeper into what that says about you. Hey, homebodies.
Welcome back to the Introvert City podcast, where we discuss culture, media, and faith from the perspective of an introvert's complex mind. I'm Carina.
And I'm Seth.
And as you can see, Seth is unrecognizable today. Yeah, so Seth shaved. Seth, why are you on your phone?
Because
get off your phone.
I'm looking up something very, very interesting that I want to take time to talk about today. Actually, today, guys, we're going to do something a little different.
Yeah.
So we've kind of tried to do a little series on the show, right? We've done, maybe ones that are like a bunch of jumbled up topics in one episode. We did our introvert biddies, which we'll see if we bring it back or not. We've done one about our obsessions. We've done little mini-series about testimonies. And today we want to try and do something a little different. We had an episode called Introverted Obsessions, I believe, in season 1.
Way back.
Yeah, I forget exactly what we talked about, but we talked about some stuff that we were obsessed with or really, really liked or things that we were into in the moment. We kind of wanted to bring that back, but instead, in this type of, I guess, side quest, we talk more about broad things that introverts find really interesting and cool. In particular, very deep observant, deep thinking introverts.
And by introverts, we mean the two of us.
The two of us.
I don't know if y'all will find this interesting. Hopefully you do.
I hope you do, because I find it really interesting. I have been interested in this topic we're going to talk about for a very long time. You're going to say something.
No, sometimes you have to take a break from the really big stories that we tell and the really heavy topics that we like to talk about on this show. So today will just be a shorter insight to the types of conversations that Seth and I have every day. And I hope that you guys can participate in this conversation and let us know your thoughts down below. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Engage with us too on Spotify, you guys. We want to hear your comments and questions and all of those things. So we want to hear from you. You can also send us emails with topic suggestions, questions you have for us. All of the interactions we've had with you have been totally positive, and we're really grateful for that. So thank you for being a supporter.
What's actually crazy is that I remember, there are so many people that I've subscribed to on YouTube or followed on Instagram that before I even followed or subscribed to them, I watched their videos all the time. Then I subscribed and I just stopped watching. I don't know if you've ever done the same thing.
Yeah. I would say I didn't stop watching after I subscribed, but definitely I relate to watching someone over and over again.
Afterward.
Yeah.
I was very interested and sparked something inside of my brain to watch this person.
Yeah.
Then when I subscribed to them, I was like, After seeing all their notifications and stuff like that, I was like, I don't know if I really want to watch them. It's almost like a paradox.
Okay. That was a segue, but you're literally discouraging people to subscribe right now.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that for me, sometimes how it would work was that I would like someone so much, but as soon as I subscribed to them, my interaction actually went down more.
Yeah, is that a paradox?
I don't know, but today I wanted to talk about a couple paradoxes that I find really cool.
Yeah. So wait, what is the definition of a paradox? Because people just kind of throw the word around. If something doesn't make sense, they'll be like, oh, that's a paradox. But it's really what is the true definition of what a paradox is?
So what it says on Google, a paradox is a seemingly absurd or self-contradictory statement or proposition that, when investigated or explained, may prove to be well founded or true. I can't talk right. Basically what that means is that it's a type of statement in which you maybe say something or see an idea or see a type of idea or problem that you're like, well, the answer feels like it adds another question, or the question, when answered, just reverts back to the same answer, right? So one of the most famous ones that I think explain this the best is called the liar paradox, which is about these. Most of you have probably heard this one about this sentence is a lie, or this sentence is false, or what I know is that I know nothing. You know, but it's the whole idea of that basically reverts to the whole fact that you're saying, okay, so this sentence is false. But if the sentence is false, then the sentence is a lie. But if the sentence is a lie, then it's also true. So it is in both ways, both a lie
Wait, I
and
don't
both
get it.
true.
How is it true?
Because here's the thing. If I say this sentence is a lie, what is your first thought?
That the sentence is a lie. That you're not
Okay.
telling the truth.
But then wouldn't I be lying about the sentence being a lie if I'm lying to you?
This sentence
Or
is
would
a
that
lie.
sentence be true? Would it be a true statement or a false statement?
This sentence is a lie? Wait. This sentence is a lie. So the sentence is not true. But you're lying about the sentence.
Long story short, there's no answer to this.
Okay, so a paradox is a contradiction in essence.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
There's
do you think the words are interchangeable? Paradox, contradiction.
no, because you could say that, but I think that paradox has a broader, reach than
Yeah.
contradiction does. Like I think paradox, when you say something is a paradox, it's something that is widely understood and something that is, or not understood, but it's something that's widely accepted as a paradox. And it's something that is truly mind-boggling. Whereas, oh, you just contradicted yourself. That's kind of just more, speaking in in conversational type, speaking.
Sure.
But something I love so much about paradox is that as an introvert, as a deep thinker, I like the idea of letting my brain melt away to something I can't actually solve because I want to try and solve it. But then actually getting so tired that I couldn't solve it that I want to solve it again the next day. If you
Oh
got what
my
I mean.
gosh. Do you do this thing where you discover something like that, some paradox or some unresolved story, maybe on the news or something, and you become so hyper fixated on it and you go and tell your whole entire family at dinner and they just don't care and they're not into
yeah.
it?
Yeah. Oh
And
my
then it makes
gosh.
me even more enraged and I'm like, now I have to solve it just to prove them wrong. Yeah.
Side tangent. There was this one song that went really popular. It was this Lost Media song. It was very popular on TikTok and Instagram and whatever. They found the whole song. It's a really weird story. I wouldn't look up into it, homebodies. But anyway, the song itself is actually pretty good. But the whole thing around it ended up being a very weird story. But it was lost media for a while because people only had a 10-second clip, around 10 seconds of the whole song. It's from the 80s. Me and Talon, you guys met Talon, he was on the show before. But Taylor and I were talking about it, and we were like, oh, this is so cool. What if it was by this person or this person? What if it was in this movie? Oh, someone said it could have been another version of this song that's actually a real song that came out. And I talked to my mom about it and my grandfather, and they were like, oh, that's cool, I guess.
They don't
It's not a big
get
deal.
it.
And I'm like, come on.
They don't get it.
Come on, it's cool.
Yeah.
I promise it's cool.
Yeah.
I promise it's cool. But
I
yeah,
do that all the time. Okay, well, I'm going to get off track. Keep going, though.
Yeah, but for me, a big thing with paradoxes is that it is something you can just fall down a whole rabbit hole of, finding other people and what their opinions of it is, going deeper into what that says about you and what that says about the idea of paradoxes and the idea of people who find it interesting and people who don't. Because I think you can find the type of person who is very observational and a big skeptic, and a person who likes to really delve deep into their mind is a person who probably really likes paradoxes. I think something about a lot of introverts too is that introverts, they like research, they like rabbit holes, they like falling into those little things and those interesting mysteries of things that you can just let ruminate in your mind for an entire night, week, or month.
Yeah.
And I think paradoxes are something that grab the hold of introverts in particular, maybe extroverts too, but I think introverts really lean more towards the philosophical type of paradox, where it's one that you can talk about for hours.
Yeah, we were talking about a couple earlier today, and we've always talked about different paradoxes and things, but one of the main ones we were talking about that we heard in high school was the ship of The ship of the what?
The ship of Theseus
Yeah, that
paradox. It's one of the most popular ones, but it's one that when I first heard of it, it like sparked something in my brain.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the first things that I thought deeply about. Because I think the first time I heard of it was in like, I think it was in like a history class, or it was in like a history book. And it was like a little, you know, when like in the old history books in school, they would have like the sidebar, like, did you know this?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you know that? It was in one of those history books. It was like a, did you know about the paradox of Theseus's ship, where it's like the whole the whole idea of the paradox is, if you take a ship, and maybe every month or so you replace it, you replace each part, you replace it, and eventually you've replaced the whole ship. Is that ship the same ship?
Right.
And furthering that conversation, if you were to take all the old parts you took off of that ship and rebuild it into a new ship with those old parts, would that now be the same ship? Or would the other one be the same ship? Are they the same thing? Or are they both not the original ship?
I remember the first time I heard that in high school in my history class. I think I wanted to talk about it for like a week. Like I wanted to go home and ask my parents. And the thing is, my family gave a super simplistic answer. Like, obviously it's the same ship, or obviously it's not the same ship. Or the same thing, the paradox of, if you clone yourself, is it really you? You know?
Yeah, that goes in with,
and you kill the original, is the clone really you? I remember being so fixated on that. And everyone I asked would just give me a super quick answer, and then I was stuck thinking about it.
No, yeah, because basically it comes down to the whole argument of, if you take something and try to replicate it, what is the difference between the original and that new one?
Right.
What is the difference? Is there a difference at all? It's like, if you take me and you clone me, and maybe I die, is that clone suffice? Like, is that clone enough? Is that clone me? Now, I would say no for a human life, of course. But I think if you take... But it actually does go a bit deeper with the whole one, too, because if you say, oh, you take a robot and you give them your memories, your identity, you shape the robot into what the person looked like, is that robot that person? It's hard to say, because if you say no, then who is that robot? Is it a different person? But the robot has everything you have, or you had.
Right.
So then it has to be you, but it can't be at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one. I remember learning about that one. There was another one that I'm going to bring up in a second. But do you know the term Irish goodbye?
No.
So basically, an Irish goodbye is when you like leave a function, or you leave, wherever the group setting is, without saying goodbye. You just kind of bounce.
Oh, so I do that. Wait, is that weird?
No, I do it too.
Okay.
I actually do it a lot. I would just get up and leave my family room or the living room, and I would just go to my bedroom and just look up like different types of paradoxes and how they worked. And another one that I really like is the grandfather paradox. Now, this one has a little bit, it's a little sci-fi, but in this paradox, what it talks about is the idea that if you go back in time and kill your grandfather, you, in turn, would have never been born. But if you were never born, how could you have gone back and killed your grandfather?
Right.
But in that case, you wouldn't have been able to go back anyway, because you would have never been born. So how could you have even gone back in time in the first place?
I always think about that anytime I see any type of time travel movie and someone dies.
Yeah.
Because usually what they do is if someone goes back, and let's say if this were to happen in a movie and the dude killed his grandfather, what I feel like would be the cinema type movie reaction would be the guy would start to fade, and he would realize, oh, I've never been born. But if this was reality, he would have never been there in the first place. He wouldn't have faded. He would have just not been.
No, yeah.
That makes me think about the question that freaks Christians out, which is, how has God always been?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And that one gave me like an existential crisis.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Because you got to think, like, if in a scenario where time travel maybe exists, right? You have to think about the idea that going back in time and changing anything could change the course of history, but in turn, changing anything that would bring you into this world, you might actually not be able to move or change or create at all, because doing in turn would have you not be created, period. But if you were not created, period, you would have not been able. It's almost like that past is the future to you. And what happens in that past, you have to do in the future. But in order to do that in the future, you wouldn't have been able to have been born because you were never born, because that never happened.
Right.
You know? It's also the whole idea of, this is a cool one too, the time travel. There's another time travel one where basically this guy, one day, he gets a knock on his door, and on the ground is a book that's the instructions to build a time travel machine. He builds it, he works on it, he fails a couple times, and he ends up creating his own side book that reflects the book as well. He then goes through the portal and goes back in time to that same day, knocks on the door, leaves the book there, and goes back to the future or whatever. How did that book, who wrote the first book?
Okay, that bothers me.
Think about it, right?
Yeah.
Because he is the one who actually gave himself that book all those years ago. But you got to think, who actually wrote the book?
I don't like that one.
Yeah.
That one really annoys me.
Because you have to think that at some point there was a first book written. There was a
Right.
book written without that book, but when was that actually written?
That makes me think about the butterfly effect, even though that's not technically a paradox.
I love the butterfly effect.
I love
too.
the butterfly effect. You know what movie portrays that really well? What's the movie about the guy who's born as an old man and then de-ages?
The Curious Case of
Benjamin Button. That movie, you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
The scene where who gets, not to spoil it, but you guys have had time to watch it. Who gets hit by a car? Somebody. Is it the woman?
I don't remember.
Okay, someone gets hit by a car, and there's this probably 5-minute scene leading up to it that's showcasing every single event that happened in order for her to have been hit by the car. Someone had to leave their jacket on the floor. Someone took extra long to get their coffee. Someone ran ahead of her in the street, and all of those things compiled together caused this effect. And I just think that's really fascinating to think about.
No, yeah, and it's like, have you ever... This one actually kind of can relate to TikTok currently. There's this trend on TikTok where it's like, I saw one where it was like, what was it? Oh, it was Justin Bieber's mom was like, honey, you're so good at music. Do you want to record a YouTube video? And it's like Justin Bieber saying, no thanks. And then it's like end credits.
Oh, yeah,
Have you seen those types of like...
I saw, you posted one on your story today, the one of the Soul movie.
Yeah,
and he was like, no, I'm not going to take...
I'm going to take the train.
Yeah, instead of walking. Yeah.
It's an interesting idea to think about how, one, there was another one that was like, oh, if, because in World War I, when, it was an Archduke, I forget the name of, but when they made a wrong turn and he got assassinated, and that's what sparked World War I. And it was like, what if he kept on the same track? You know, World War I might have never happened. World War II would have probably never happened. We might have never created nuclear bombs. Who knows? You know?
Who knows?
Yeah.
That's so interesting to think about, because then you have other media that portrays the multiverse, which, you know, is in the sci-fi realm. That's like all those other universes. Okay, you know what I think about a lot? Sorry, I'm going in so many directions right now. You know, like in The Flash, when there's another universe with the same exact people?
Yes.
I always think about, how can you have the same exact people if different people are going to be getting married and having different kids? You're not going to end up with the same people.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that's always in my brain.
And there's also the idea that, like, any person you've ever dated or had a thing with could have been in any future where, say, you're married. Thinking back to, oh, what if I was with this person? What if I ended up having children with this person?
Yeah.
What if I never married? What if, I don't know. What if instead of having a girl first, I had a boy first? Or what if I had no kids,
right.
And just adopted? There's so many different things you can think about. And that kind of goes in hand with paradoxes too, because it's something that's a mystery that you obviously can never solve because it'll never happen and there will never be a true answer to that. You just have to live with what you're given and what's real.
Right.
But it's fun to think about. And I think that's something where a lot of homebodies ruminate on because you have something that you can chew on that will never go bland. The same story is never going to change as long as you think more and more about it. So with paradoxes, it's something that will never have a full answer. The only answer that is correct is the one you choose to be correct in your own world, not anybody else's that can give a definitive, objective truth about a paradox. That's why I think it's so cool for introverts and why introverts really cling and like flock to things like paradoxes.
Yeah, that is interesting because to an extent, I believe, and I know you believe, that we do need objective truth and we do need logic and sometimes black and white answers.
Facts and logic.
Sometimes black and white answers really are what's necessary.
Yeah.
You know, I really love the quote that truth by definition is exclusive because in order to believe something, you have to not believe other things. But when it comes to the imagination and when it comes to what ifs and sci-fi and I don't know, the human brain is just so amazing, so creatively designed that we can think about these things and ruminate on them, like you said, and have these types of what if discussions with other people. It's so fun. And yeah, I love that. Guys, you don't get it. Seth and I spend hours on the phone talking about this stuff, about paradoxes.
I remember when we first started dating.
Yeah.
And this is how I knew that we both had a similar type of like observational mind. The only we would like FaceTime and she'd be like, I'd be like, do you want to look up like thought provoking questions and just ask each other?
Oh my gosh.
We would do that
you just unlocked a memory.
We would do that for hours on the phone. Literally, we do that for hours on the phone.
Yeah.
We would look up different ones all the time, and we eventually stopped doing that. But like that was something that we used to do a lot in the beginning of our relationship, and yeah, it was a really cool thing that brought out a bit of a more hidden, deeper introspective part of our brains and our personalities to each other.
Yeah. Also, the media needs to start portraying these paradoxes right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We already talked about that.
Yeah.
Any multiverse movies and shows need to stop doing it wrong.
Some of them are good. Some of them are
Not.
the opposite of good.
Not.
Bad. There are some good ones that are out. You might know, but there are some bad ones too.
Yeah. We can wrap up though. We're at 25 minutes already.
Yeah, we hope you guys liked this little side episode. We let us know what you guys think.
Yeah. Next week we have a guest coming on the show. This was probably a really good in between shorter, lighthearted episode because next week we have a really big, heavy testimonial episode, an interview that I think you guys will find very fascinating and definitely stick around for that. So we're really excited.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye, homebodies. Oh, wait, we forgot to give our socials. Okay, you can find me at Carina_B04 on Instagram.
You can find me at its_DNEYL. You can find us on Instagram at _introvert_city. You can also find us on Facebook and TikTok, and you can email us as well. Yep. Any questions or thoughts you have. Please subscribe, like, comment, put the bell on.
Thanks,
we really
guys.
appreciate it. Have a good Labor Day weekend, I guess. Or they'll be watching this after Labor Day.
Yeah.
It's Labor Day weekend, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Bye,
Goodbye.
everybody.